Okay, yeah. Hello, friends. Welcome again in another interview session. So today we have only three guys. Along with, we will start the interview, and this interview is our on based on React components, and React props. So mostly we will be working on talking about React components and React props. So first, I will ask Vishal to answer me. What are React component? What are React components, and how do we define one?
Yeah, yeah, man. So, hello, can you hear me properly? My voice
Yeah,
is
you are
clear?
audible.
Yeah. Yes, so basically, React components are the building blocks of React application. And basically, React components are pieces of code that define a part of user interface. What we should appear on a UI. Yeah, that's it. And React components are two types of components. One is functional component, and other one is class components. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, fine. You're right. React components are of two types. One is functional and one is class components. And those are the building blocks of any application in React. Yeah. So next, I will ask Maheen. You tell me what are props in React and how do we use one?
Okay, so props are like a data which is going to pass parent component to child component. Okay, and it's a very useful to pass any kind of data like a object or any kind of data type. We can pass through props only from one component to another, or from parents to child, and the benefit is like a we can use all the data which we want to in another component, like we have an array and we need to use it in in parent to from child, so we can pass that to through the props only. And for example, like we have a one array of the users, and we need to display it another this not display, like we need to separate it from another component. Like there is a user card component, and we need to show the all information in the card itself only. So we need to pass that particular user information from the props only. So this is the what the props and what the use cases of benefits are that. And we can also for extra information we can also destructure the props, and also we can use the split operators, rest operator, and we can use that props in the another component uh, also. So this is what my answer.
Okay, fine. So basically, in a straightforward, React props are the data that you pass through your parent component to all the child component, whether it could be one child component or any nested child components. So data could be anything, as mine discussed, the user data or anything. So yeah, so those are this. So next, Akritika, you tell me the syntax of defining a functional component, and give me an example of using any prop, like how you declare the prop in functional component and how you utilize that prop inside component.
Okay. In functional component, the prop is used as an argument to passing it from parent component to the child component. Example, in parent component, we are creating like a function with a parenthesis, and we are returning like a example. Inside the return, we will be giving the child component name inside the tag, and using a child component, some message will be there. Now I'm going towards the child component. Inside the child component, in returning, I'm giving as a props, as a prop, or some message inside that as a parameter. And inside the returning that parent component, I'm giving props dot message. What is message is handling in the child component. That message will render once we calling the invoking the child component. So in case in parent component, if I'm returning with the message like a hello, if I make in child component props dot message, it will directly render towards the parent component and get the message as a hello. This is how we use the function component, and we use the function props as a argument in a function component. Thank you.
Yeah, fine. Perfect example as I expected. Nice. So I don't think I had anything to add on to that. Very good. So next I will ask again, Vishal. So Vishal, for next round, your question is, you need to declare, you need to tell me about the advantages of props, like how props are benefited in us, and what if we don't pass. Yeah, you need to simply tell me about the benefits of props.
Yeah, so I don't know much more about it, but whatever I know, I'll tell you. Basically, props are a way of passing data from parent to child components in React. Or like as you asked, what are the advantages of using props? So props basically enhance our reusability or of our components, and also with the help of props, we can facilitate data flow in predictable manner, like we can make it in a good way. uh, yeah, that's it, what I know.
Yeah, fine. You are correct. The props are very important when you want to make your components very reusable. Like you need to define one component, and by varying the value of props, you can use it for multiple functionalities. That one. Second thing, and as you mentioned, that when you use props, then you actually make the component for one use cases, and there you put all the logic. So you are making your code more readable and more modular. Good, nice, as expected. Next I will ask Mahin. So Mahin, tell me about what are children props in React, how you can use them, and how you can compose them simply.
Okay, so children components are like a, like I have a, for example, I have a route, and in routes like me like to use like a private route. So we need to wrap the in all routes our the component which we want to leave, we need to leave like a private. So we need to wrap that particular component inside the private route. Okay. After that, when we go to in private route component, so there is the option in like in parentheses of that private routes parentheses, so we can pass like a curly braces and children. So these children behaves like a that particular component which we have inside the wrapper of the private route. So these children now return as a like a that particular component, after where we want to use that this particular component, so where we can use inside the private routes, we can use like a children, where we write like a children, so it's written it as like a that component only. So by using this, we whatever the component inside the wrapper like parent component, so we can access it as a like a children. So this is what the children component and how we can use it.
Yeah, fine. So although your explanation was little unclear, but I observed that you know all the things. So basically, what children props are a special props. Children, the word keyword children is a reserved keyword for React, and that children enholds the values of all the children elements inside the parent. Let's say we pass the children property onto the parent, then that children will point to all the children elements or children components, whatever we are going to use while invoking the parent component simply. Nice. And you gave the example as well, like whenever we create a private route component, and then we pass the children property, and we use the children property inside that private route component. So when we invoke the private route component, we pass the actual elements, like the routes or the routes component we pass inside the private route component. Then those routes are acting as a children. So yeah, you're right. So next I will ask 𝗍𝗍 to tell me about what are the limitations of using props for component communication, and when would you consider using alternate methods? Like obviously you need to tell me about the limitations or drawbacks of using props, when it is not good to use props, and what are the alternatives of using props.
Okay. So when we use the props, the props are nested it's going like a nested for many components. In case it goes on with the multiple components, multiple layer of components, it is not accessible by the child component directly. In such a, even some of the components don't use that parent that props over there, even though for the component tree purpose, it have to go on by the layer by layer. For that purpose, it will go across, it will cross the multiple layers of component to reach the child component. It is difficult for the user to identify unreadability, and it's also not a more flexible manner for other users. In such a case, we are this is a main limitation of using the props. Okay, so in such a case, we are
Yeah,
using the
exactly.
alternative methods like a API contest. So in this case, it's use state value from state value components from one component to other component by passing the values. And also we are using like state management libraries like a Redux. So this is also one of the way to use the components in a better way of transferring data from the parent to the child component. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the major drawbacks of props is the prop dealing. When you have a nested child, and inside that child you have more nested childrens, then the props are very uneasy to pass each and every times, because you may need to utilize that prop at the very deep level. So all the other children are simply carrying that props to that targeted children. So in that case, the prop dealing could be very uneasy. Handling is very uneasy. To handle that, as you mentioned, context would be a very good option. Nice. So I will again jump on to our participants, who is Vishal. So Vishal, you need to tell me about the concept of default props. So you need to explain the concept of default props in React and when they are used. Just like we had default parameters in JavaScript, functional JavaScript. Similarly, we have default props in React. So what is default props and when they are used?
Sorry, but I don't know about default props here.
Okay, fine. Then let me tell you, because of your information. Default props are simply the default parameters, just like we have default parameters in JavaScript function. Similarly, we have default props in React. So what it will do, similarly, when we write props inside React, while declaring it, we can pass any default value, like we can assign any default value. Just like, for example, if you want to use name property, so prop.name, you pass and you utilize that prop.name. But while declaring or while using the component, when user don't pass any name property or name value, then by default, since you have declared the default prop, name could be anything, any string, then since a user hasn't defined or hasn't used the name property, the React component will take the default property. So it is very much similar to what we have studied in simple JavaScript function default parameters. This is a simple default prop. Okay, good, nice. So I will go to Mahin for the next question. So Mahin, you need to tell me about the concept of destructuring props in functional components. So most of the times we try to destructure the props there itself while declaring it. So how it is useful and why do we do it, and how it is different from using the prop word? Like, what is the difference between using the prop word or you destructuring the props then and there?
So basically, destructuring is doing it exact the value whatever we have passed in from parents to child components. Okay. So like I have an object, like the object is data, and I need to pass that object data from parent component to child component. So here I'm using obviously I am here using props. So in this case, we don't do like a normal data equal to and curly bracket data. I don't need to do like this. I just simply curly braces and dot split or split rest operator, or I can simply write data. This is restructuring of at the parent level, parent component level. And after when I'm go to that particular child comment, there is I need to access the value. So I don't use like here user key, means data key, whatever I have passed from the parent. I can just whatever key are present and that particular data object, I can use like this. Like there is a ID key, so I just restructure in the child component like a curly braces in the parentheses and like a ID and the name and whatever the key are present in that particular data object. So I can just simply write it and use it wherever I want. So this is what restructuring and how we can use it in child components.
Okay, fantastic. As expected, just to say, put into simple words, the restructuring helps us when we in similar in usually what we do is we simply write props while declaring it, and then inside the component we just write the property names like prop.name or prop.age, whatever. So instead of that, what we could have done is we while declaring the prop there itself we pass the curly braces, and inside that simply restructure it like whatever you need to take, like name and age. So instead of direct using prop, you can pass the name and age, and then you can use those keywords name and age inside your component simply. Nice, good. So for last round and for last question, I will ask 𝗍𝗃ika. So 𝗍𝗃ika, you need to tell me what are React key properties. So we in React we have key properties inside React. So you need to tell me what are key properties and why are they important when rendering the list items.
Okay. So I'm not sure with my answer, but I try to clear. So why we are giving the key properties to rendering the items means when we have a list of items in our data. So when we want to give example in array, we have a list of data are there. When we want to give go with each element of array, example in such case we are giving as a key as a indexes or any particular ID user ID. If I given means it will not distract with each of the element. It will give the separate unique ID for the every element, and also the values will be appear. For this purpose, we are using a key as a unique ID for every element, whatever it's rendering over the array, the element in the array. This is what we use the key properties while using our mapping of the array to get the values of the each element. Right.
Yeah, final. Good, nice, as expected. So putting into simple words, keys are the properties, like default properties, not default, but reserved properties in React. We could use them or we cannot. It is optional, but it would be better if we use it with any unique values. So it is basically helpful for React to understand what node we are targeting or what node we want to change, add, or manipulate. So React needs it to do its own work. We just need to pass a unique value to those key properties. So it is very useful when we render list elements, because list elements are very much similar. That's why we need to pass the key property and provide it a very unique number, unique value, so that Reacts can target all the list items, identify and target and do its work. Yeah, that's it, and that's what I expected, and you provided. Nice. So with this, I have concluded all the theoretical questions. Now we will jump on the technical round, which is the guess the output section. So for that, let's go to our screen. Pause the recording.
Okay.
Okay, so let me share my screen, guys. So, and let me open this thing. Yeah. So Shal, this is a question. We have one functional component here, counter, and that counter component takes one prop, and inside that it is just returning one h1 tag with props.count. So, and I'm using that counter here. So you need to tell me when this whole thing got rendered into the DOM. So what would the display would come like what would be the display on the DOM? Yeah, so this was your question. If you need to have any clarification, ask me. Till then, the recording will be paused. Yeah. Yeah, so Vishal, give me a raw guess, anything.
Yeah, actually, I'm sorry, but maybe my concept are not clear, so that's why I'm not able to answer the question here. So I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries, understood. So let me describe it to you and for our viewers. So here I have created one counter component, and inside that counter component, I have passed props, and props will take the value of count. So whenever I use this counter, I need to pass the count property with a value. So here am I using that counter component inside application or app component. So here, while using it, I am passing the count property, the value of count property as 10. So whenever I am utilizing count, there I should pass 10. So here I am utilizing that count variable or count property with value 10. So I should pass the value here as 10, and this should come inside an h1 tag. So this will be our whole output. So output will be I have only this h1 tag to be rendered. So here the h1 will be here, and inside that h1 tag, that 10 will be here. So normally the output will be 10, but since it is inside h1 tag, so it will be a little bigger 10, like a 10 inside h1 tag. Yeah, so this will be our answer. Let's go with another participant. So for Kirtika, you need to solve this question. Okay, so take this question. Let it be, yeah. So here, let me let me take you through the question. We have one parent component. Inside that parent component, I'm returning one JSX called div. And inside that div, I'm using a child component. Where is the child component? Here is the child component. Inside child component, I'm again using props, and it is returning one JSX. So inside JSX, we have div, we have h5 and inside that we have child component, and again another div, and inside that div we are utilizing that children property, the special children property. So while using this children property, sorry, this we are using this child component here. So yeah, you can take it through, you can take a look and discover over the possible outcomes, and you can give me your guess. Yeah.
Okay, so in this question, first the parent component is there. So inside the parent component, it is called returning the child component. So our output for the child, that whole thing is that in child component, the returning is first div. So our answer will be inside the div tag, there will be h5 tag, the child component inside that will be there, and also div that props dot children. So props here is a props we are taking, and dot children, while in rendering part, we are seeing that in parent component inside that p tag child paragraph is there. So that will be reflect over there. So inside that thing, there is a h5 tag with child component, and div tag that is with parent tag child paragraph will be the output of this.
Yeah, tell me the structure of, like, what would be the output structure?
Div will be
Okay,
there. Div tag
first
will
we
be
have
there.
div.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So inside that h5 tag.
Okay, h5 tag.
So h5 tag, that child component will be there, whatever content is there.
Okay,
Next, another div will be there. Inside the div.
Another div.
Inside the div, a p tag will be there. Paragraph tag, child paragraph.
Okay, p tag, nice.
Child paragraph. The message is child paragraph. And closing of div.
Okay.
Both the div.
Yeah,
this
nice.
will be the answer.
Good, fine. So let's see, let me demonstrate, or let me give it a more clearer view. So we have a parent component, inside that we have div, and inside that we are using child component. So inside child component, what is that? We have one div. So while using this, we are sure that div is going to be there and h5 is going to be there. So we have div and h5, nice. And after that, whatever this is solely depend upon how we are using it and where we are using it. So since we are using it here, children components, and while declaring the children component, we are passing, while declaring the parent component, we are passing the children's here. So this is the children that we are working with here. So these are the children, and these things will go inside this div. So inside div, we have that p tag, and after that, we are closing the tag. So this prop dot children is nothing but this parent tag. So yeah, this is your answer. Fine. So that was good. And now let's go to our last participant. So Maheen, this is your question. Let me share the screen. Yeah, here is a question. Let me go through this once. We have again one parent component, and after that parent component, we are returning one JSX. The JSX is div, and inside that div, we have again that child component. And inside child component, we have h1 tag with children header and p tag with child paragraph. And we are declaring this child component here. We have that child component which is returning a JSX with div. Inside that div, we have h2 tag with child component and one div tag which is taking the children properties. And this is the last line. Here we are having this parent component and one root element. So this root element is coming from the DOM itself. So just look at this, go through this and take your time and give me a guess.
So here we have parent component, and inside the parent component we have a div, and after that div we have a one more component which is wrapping the two element, that is h1 and p. So and that component, child component, we have a like a div, and then we have a h2 like a child component. Okay. So first of all, parent in the last line where we can render the parent component. So first the parent component return the div. The first div is in the same, first it will come, and after that child component is there. So in child component we have a first h2, means inside the div we have a h2 child component. Okay, so it will print after, like, first it will print a div of a parent component, after it will go to child component, and then again there is a div. The second div will in the same, and after it we have a h2 child component. So it will print, it will focus on that. It will print like a h2, render like a h2 child component. Okay, and after that we have another div, and inside the div we are doing like a props dot children. So in this div we have a props, and props dot children refers to the inside that children what and that element whatever inside that child component. So, and inside that we have a two element, that is h1 and p. So it after h2 child component, it will print like a h1 child header, and after that it will render child paragraph. Okay. So in props dot children there is a two element, child header h1 tag, and after p child paragraph. So this is the what the flow of the rendering. So this is my answer, what I understand and what I have guessed.
Okay, so your guess was partially right, I must say. So here is what it should look like. So firstly, we have the parent containers div. So we have the div right here. Nice. After that, we are invoking the child component. So we should go to the child component. So inside child component, we have the second div of child component. So second div of child component. Nice. And then after that, we have child component, the header element. So h2 child component. Nice. After that, we are again having one div. So this should be again one div. So not there. It should be here. So we are starting with div, and inside that div we have all the properties, like the children properties. So since the children properties are these, what are these? This h1 and the children property. So now your h1 and children properties should go. So h1 with the text child header and the p tag. So again p tag with child paragraph. And after that, you need to also close the div. So let me close the div here. So close the div here. Not there. So you are closing the div. This is this div. This div. This div is opened. We pass the children properties, which are h1 child header and paragraph child paragraph, and we close the div. Now, since child component has done executing, now we go again to the this thing, and here we have our parent tags closing bracket. Before that, we have also the children tags closing bracket. So we close that. So we need to close that as well. So let me close the children divs wrapper div, and after that the parent div. So this is how the structure will look like after implementing this. So nice. I'm very happy that you all gave a try and gave the closest possible answers. So that was that is what we need, and that is what is required. So yeah, so most of the times I was looking for that intent, and you showed that intent. That's very good. So with this good thought, I'm ending this meet, and meet you guys in another meet with another interview and with another interesting questions. And till then, stay tuned, keep commenting, and keep showing your love. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.